Russia is the greatest threat to NATO and to Germany for the foreseeable future. So if Russia is the greatest threat to Germany, then we shouldn't be surprised if the Germans one day revive their military strength to actually go to war with Russia. Trump ordered the withdrawal from Syria 3 times during his first administration, but it was right before the election, so it remained pending. I believe Trump will focus on this matter strongly and could withdraw American troops from Syria and the region. So there you go. So Turkish power is going to grow under Trump. So one of the main military leaders of Germany, Mr. Christian Freuding, this guy's a psychopath. He talked about Germany in a recent interview, and look at what he said. I highlighted the best parts here. He said, "We must continue to support Ukraine with all of our strength." Now, remember what I told you. The Germans, specifically Olaf Scholz, is talking about being open with Russia, making a ceasefire agreement with Russia. He's open to that. He's open to that idea. Why are the Europeans interested in a ceasefire? It's not because they're interested in peace. It's because they're interested in buying time to replenish Ukraine's fighting force. The Germans are still interested in a war with Russia. We must continue to support Ukraine with all of our strength. After 1,000 days, after almost 3 years of war, it is clear to all of us that Russia only understands the language of strength. Those are some hard-ass words. Russia only understands the language of what? Strength. In other words, he's saying Russia only understands the language of war. We must do everything we can to put Ukraine in a position of strength, but we are also in constant communication with our partners about this, and we are also prepared to make these efforts. And he also goes on to say, what they most urgently need is air defense, air defense, air defense. This is not a new insight, but it is particularly true when you consider the threat to the energy infrastructure, the ability of the Russian armed forces to target the high-performance networks and destroy them. The switch to a war economy was beyond our imagination. He's talking about Russia here. We now see things much more clearly. And with this clear view, we must recognize that Russia is capable of increasing the size of its armed forces. We expect that the Russian armed forces will reach a size of up to 1.5 million soldiers in the next few years. Now, this is something else to consider. Russia has been going through a population crisis because they're not having enough babies. But still, even in the midst of this population crisis, Russia still has enough manpower to amass a massive army. So what does this tell us about the rest of Europe? Other European countries also have the population capacity to make major armies. Just because they are having less children does not mean they do not have the manpower to actually amass huge armies. So, for example, I've been talking about the revival of German power for years. People have said, no, they have a population crisis. So does Russia. And yet you see Russia at war. You see Russia still working to amass a massive army of over 1 million men. Germany has a population of what? 60 or so million? They can amass an army of 2 million men. Next year, Germany will have 300,000 new 18-year-olds. Next year, 300,000 Germans will be 18. Germany still has the ability to make a massive army. Well, the Germans are interested in oil, sure, I'm sure that's there, but there are other interests at heart. Politics is very Machiavellian. It's not just one interest, there's other interests as well. There are reports that Russia can produce more military equipment in 3 months than all European countries can in a year. Oh, that's very telling. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the Europeans are focused on military, technological innovation. And the Germans are interested in what? Making their military strong again. And that is why we must expect that the Russian armed forces will be able to maintain the level of intensity of warfare in the long term. So the interviewer asks him, so how threatening will Russia be for NATO and for us in Germany in a few years? To which Mr. Freuding says, Russia is the greatest threat to NATO and to Germany for the foreseeable future. So if Russia is the greatest threat to Germany, then we shouldn't be surprised if the Germans one day revive their military strength to actually go to war with Russia. And we may be seeing a repeat of what happened in the 1930s again, or 1940s. Russia is the greatest threat to NATO. Russia combines imperialist ambition with an internally autocratic state organization, and that is the greatest threat to us here in the West. This is Mr. Freuding. This guy is one of Germany's biggest military leaders. This guy looks like a Nazi. I'm just going to say it. I don't care. Call me whatever. Liberal, woke liberal, whatever. I don't give a damn. This guy looks like a Nazi, and he has the eyes of a Nazi. So let's give this guy a listen. Look at him getting all excited about the idea that for the first time in over half a century, Russia is being invaded. Well, what happened over a half a century ago? Oh, Germany invaded Russia. So he's getting excited. He's getting giddy about the idea of Russia getting invaded again since the time of Operation Barbarossa.
Das ist richtig, diese Offensive in Kursk hatte ein mehrfaches Rational. Worum es den Ukrainern in erster Linie ging, war erstmal die Entlastung im Donbass, Entlastung zu schaffen, indem man die Russen dazu zwingt, dass sie Truppen in den Bereich Kursk verlegen müssen. Ein zweites Rational war, eine sogenannte Pufferzone einzurichten, dass nicht aus dem Bereich Kursk quasi ununterbrochen in die Oblaste Kharkiv und Sumy gewirkt werden kann. Ich glaube, wir haben ja auch einige Bilder gesehen, wie es in Kharkiv aussieht, wo die nördlichen Stadtteile quasi täglich unter Beschuss stehen. Ein drittes Rational war natürlich eine Art Faustpfand zu haben. Es war auch ein Rational, die russische Propaganda der Spezialoperation Lügen zu strafen. Zum ersten Mal.
Look at his eyes light up, like the demon comes right out. You can't miss it, guys. You can see the Nazi in the eyes. The eyes are the window to the soul, everyone. For the first time in well over half a century, foreign troops are once again on Russian soil. Bring back Operation Barbarossa. That's what that means. They're still Nazis. I'm telling you, they are still Nazis in the German military. In fact, the German media has admitted to this, has exposed this reality. They've talked about how there have been Nazis all throughout the German armed forces today, and they found them. They have actually discovered actual Nazis in the German military, and they were members of the German armed forces who were working to do a Nazi coup some years ago. Yep, you can look it up. They called it, I think, Day X, and they had this plan that they were going to kill all the politicians they didn't like. They were going to kill all the journalists that they didn't like. It's pretty crazy stuff. But they have Nazis in Germany, still there. Look at his eyes light up. Oh my God, he's so excited about bringing back Operation Barbarossa.
Seit weit über einem halben Jahrhundert stehen wieder fremde Truppen.
Look at the eyes. Tell me this dude ain't a psychopath. That's a psychopath. That's a psychopath. I don't care what anyone tells me. That guy has serial killer eyes.
Auf russischem Boden, und natürlich sollte das auch einen psychologischen
Look at that. This guy is maniacal. This is a maniac.
Effekt haben nach innen für die Ukraine als Bestärkung für die ukrainischen Streitkräfte.
Oh man, this guy's a psychopath.
Als Bestärkung
it doesn't stop.
Für die ukrainische Gesellschaft und auch nach außen gegenüber den Unterstützerstaaten als Signal, ja, wir können was, wir schaffen das, wir setzen auf eure weitere Unterstützung.
Crazy. Yeah, but this is the guy. He's saying that Russia is the greatest threat to Germany. So you see Olaf Scholz saying, well, yeah, I'm a man of peace and I want peace and blah, 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 blah. But then you see what this guy is saying, and you're getting two different positions here. So what's going on? What's happening is very, very simple. It's Germany wants to buy time. They want to buy time. We've seen it. This is episode 3 in the making. We had episode 1, we had episode 2, and now we're going to have episode 3, everyone. Trump wants troops out of northern Syria, says Robert F. Kennedy Jr., RFK. Now, I think that this actually will happen because it sort of did happen when Trump was president. He said, we're done with Syria, let someone else handle Syria. And who was that someone else? Turkey. Trump gave the green light to the Turks to put troops in northern Syria. And so now the Americans are saying we're going to pull out all the troops from Syria because isolationism is in, interventionism is out. And so who's going to take care of Syria? It's going to be Turkey. So Turkey's power is going to grow. It's going to. It's inevitable. They're trying to revive the Ottoman Empire. President-elect's ally suggests he is worried U.S. soldiers could be cannon fodder between Turkey and Kurdish fighters in Syria. Donald Trump wants to remove U.S. troops from northern Syria rather than leaving them as cannon fodder if fighting broke out between Turkey and Kurdish fighters, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said on Wednesday. Speaking to Tucker Carlson during a live broadcast covering the U.S. presidential election result, the Trump ally, who was expected to play a major role in his government, said the president-elect had expressed his intentions for northern Syria during a plane journey. And look at what it says here. Here is an article from Turkish media. Syria would be influenced 50-50 by Russians and Iranians. Yes, I agree. I think, yeah, Russia will definitely grow its influence in Syria, but so will Turkey. And there's going to be a vying over power in Syria between the Turks and the Russians. And that's been going on for a long time. On and off. It's been going on for a long time. Turkish defense minister says Trump likely to withdraw troops from Syria. So the Turks know this already. And it says here that Turkish Defense Minister Yaşar Güler on November 13th commented on a potential normalization with Syria's Bashar al-Assad, saying that the Free Syrian Army would form the Syrian Republic's army in the future. So the Turks are already saying, listen, we want the rebels who we have been backing to become a serious army in Syria. That's Turkey preparing to have a proxy in Syria so that Turkey can have power and leverage within that country. You're seeing the further expansion of Turkish power growing in Syria. That's what you're seeing. It's very obvious. If there is to be a Syrian state tomorrow, those people are already its citizens. So they want the rebels to have their own army in Syria, and that army will be controlled by Turkey. It'll be a Turkish proxy in the country. As for withdrawal, Güler emphasized that Turkey could not just withdraw from the right conditions without the right conditions being satisfied. So Turkey wants to keep troops in Syria because they want to expand their power. The U.S. could withdraw troops from Syria under the upcoming Trump administration, adding, quote, I believe Trump will strongly focus on this and could pull American troops from Syria and the region. Asked whether the U.S. would withdraw troops from Syria, Güler responded, Trump ordered the withdrawal from Syria 3 times during his first administration, but it was right before the election, so it remained pending. I believe Trump will focus on this matter strongly and could withdraw American troops from Syria and the region. So there you go. So Turkish power is going to grow under Trump. That's what's going to happen. That's one thing you can expect to happen.